As of this morning, I'm 94 kilos, which is around 208 pounds, at 192 centimeters tall, which is around 6'3", and I'm 17 years old. So in this video, I'm basically going to go over the one single idea that I've realized is what got me from where I started, which I'll tell you about in a second, to where I am now. It all started in February of 2022. I specifically remember I made this Google Keeps note. It's a bit like Apple Notes, but for Samsung devices, because that's what I had at the time. And it was just photos of me in my bathroom mirror and a few goals for the next, I think it was either 6 months or a much shorter period of time, like 1 to 3 months, right? And the idea was I wanted to completely change my body in that period of time, which I realized it isn't possible, right? That's not what happened. But what's important is, even though I didn't reach those goals I set out to reach at the start, those whatever goals they were, get six-pack abs, get big, get vascular, and all of this stuff, what's important is the fact that I started. Because from then on, although I think I had a little break in between February 2022 and when I really started, which was around 2023, the important part was that I actually started and then kept going. Let's say I did around half a year of at-home workouts. So I would wake up at around 5:30 in the morning to do a workout before going to school. I had these makeshift dumbbells. They were really crappy and annoying because you had to unwind the thing to put the weights on and then do another set. But that's what I would do for half a year, right? Wake up at 5:30, hit a workout for maybe 45 minutes to 1 hour before I had to go to school. And that's something, to be honest, I don't even know if I would do now. I mean, I could, but to think that that's what I was doing back then is completely crazy. And I was, I must have been 13 years old. But then after that, I eventually joined the gym. And I did that for maybe 1 year before I injured my lower back because, long story short, I was doing hack squats like on the machine with terrible form and also really short range of motion because I wanted to put on as much weight onto the machine as possible to pretend like I'm so big and strong. And I completely fucked my lower back. I couldn't walk for maybe a month. I couldn't walk properly now that I was in a wheelchair. And then I still couldn't run or do much exercise for quite a while. But eventually, maybe a few months later to half a year later, I started doing resistance training again because then I got gymnastic rings, which I must have done for maybe a few months, mainly the summer. And then eventually, so this was now 2 years ago, around 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I joined the gym again in September with the new school year and everything. And from that point on, I've been going to the gym. This is when I say I started consistently 2.5 years ago, because that's when I joined the gym and actually started working out consistently. Because before that point, I would work out, but it wasn't it was a weekly thing, but it wasn't extremely consistent. It was like I would still ask myself, should I work out today? Whereas at this point, it's just a matter of when do I fit my workout in my day and not should I work out at all. Like I know I'm going to work out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. The question is, do I go in the morning? Do I go in the afternoon? Usually I have my predetermined times, but now some classes are being moved around, so that means I can optimize it a bit more and move my workout to the morning so I have the afternoon free and all of that. But it's gotten to the point where, unlike most people who wonder every single time, oh, should I go to the gym? I really should, but I don't really want to. For me, it's just, I know I'm going to go. When do I go? Okay, this time sounds good. Let me go to the gym. And so the main idea is that this shit takes time. For maybe 75% of my, let's say, working out career, which would mean everything until maybe a year and a half ago, my physique did not look good. Or it looked all right, but it looked nowhere near what maybe it should have looked like, maybe what I would have hoped it looked like. It just looked kind of average. You would think, you've been working out for that long and your physique looks like that. But then suddenly, for the last 25%, so the last year and a half, it's just been exponential. And every single month, my physique, I'm just amazed at how much better my physique is getting. Now, I would attribute part of that to having started so early that I was basically still a boy and not producing testosterone to build much muscle at the time. And so now that I'm actually not hitting puberty, but now that I'm becoming more of like an adult, there's just natural strength and size gains that come with it that are exacerbated by the fact that I go to the gym as well. But the main idea, the main lesson, the main takeaway I want you to get from this is that this shit takes time. If you've been going for 1 year and you're like, oh man, I can't see any results, where's my six pack, where are my like veins all over my hands and all this, it's not gonna happen, right? You're gonna need to put in 2, 3, 4, 5 years to actually start seeing results. And on this app, which I've been using to track my workouts since 2023, you should be able to see that I've tracked 600 workouts. 600 workouts, like very recently. I think a week ago was my 600 worth. Well, not a week ago. I've been a bit sick, so I couldn't go to the gym. But anyways, the point is, right, it takes time, just like with self-improvement as well. You get on self-improvement, you start meditating, you start gratitude journaling, you start doing the core rituals of self-improvement. You won't notice very many results very quickly. You could have been on very good self-improvement, like a solid, consistent, disciplined self-improvement for 2, maybe even 3 years, and you would still look around at your classmates, your coworkers who just go home, drink alcohol or just sodas or just crap. They feed themselves crap. They eat chips. They go to bed at different times and they don't get enough sleep. They don't work out. And you look at them and you think, my life is still kind of like them, yet I'm putting in so much more work to get what? 1% better? Is that really worth it? But what you don't see is that you're just at the start of the exponential curve. It's not in the first 2 or 3 years. It's in after 5 years that you start seeing some noticeable differences between you, who's been on self-improvement very consistently, very seriously for those 5 years, for example, and just your average Joe who's cruising but actually declining. And then after 10 years, 15, 20 years, that's when you really start seeing the results. It's like smoking. The inverse of smoking. You could start smoking and you wouldn't really notice a difference for 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, maybe 2 years, 3 years. But after 3 years, that's when you really you notice you're coughing, you notice you're out of breath more quickly, you notice you can't sleep without cigarettes, you notice that you're thinking about it, you shake if you don't have your cigarette. I don't know, I have never smoked, but you get the point, right? At first, you don't see the impacts of your actions, whether good or bad, but they only become worse and worse exponentially until 20 years down the line, the person who smoked and thought, yeah, well, maybe I'm out of breath, maybe I cough, but whatever, it's not that bad, suddenly gets cancer. Oh shit, it's over. The guy who never smoked doesn't have that and continues his life. You flip that over for self-improvement, 10, 20 years down the line, you have one massive break, one massive opportunity. Say you're able to sell a business for millions of dollars, or you find a dream career and a dream partner, or you're exposed to some once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, basically, right? The inverse of getting cancer, because cancer is a once-in-a-lifetime, but like bad. And that basically offsets the entire work you've done for the past however many years, because if you weren't on self-improvement, you wouldn't get this opportunity, which allows you to enjoy so much more the rest of your life. And one line from a friend of mine that he told me maybe 1.5, 2 years ago that I really liked and it really stuck with me was that the weather doesn't matter. And now that I look back, I realize how silly this was, but the weather would influence whether I went to the gym. If it was raining, I would think I should go to the gym, but look, it's raining and I don't want to get wet. What the fuck does that even mean? Just because I'm going to get wet means I'm not going to go to the gym? It's like saying just because it's raining, I'm not going to work today because I don't like when it rains. No, you do the work anyway. It doesn't matter whether it's raining, whether there's sunshine, wind, a tornado, a storm, an earthquake. You just go to the gym anyway. That's the point you want to get to. And ever since that, crazily enough, my results have exploded. And not only in the gym, but also in other areas of my life, because obviously it transfers. If you're consistent in one thing, you're going to be consistent and disciplined in other things. And that's why another thing is a lot of people say, oh, working out is so shallow. Like people who are attracted to good physiques are just shallow and you wouldn't even want to be with them. Maybe, right? Some people definitely, I can't disagree with that. But what does being in good shape actually say about you? What does having like a six-pack actually say about you? Does it say you're vain, and you only care about appearances, maybe. Most of the time, though, it means you're able to discipline yourself. It means you're able to show up even when it's not convenient. You're able to be there and stick to your word, which those, you apply them to the gym sense, you apply those in relationships. If you have a six-pack, I know I can rely on you. Unless you're selfish, right? But as long as we like each other and we're friends, I know you're going to be reliable. I know that if I ask you to do something for me, even if it's inconvenient, even if you have a bunch of other things, if it's important enough for me and I say that to you and you understand that, I know you will do it even if it's inconvenient. Whereas the guy who's out of shape, of course, maybe he could do that, but I wouldn't bet on that. I would rather bet on the guy who's in shape and I can see puts in the work even when he doesn't feel like it, even when it's raining. It's like, imagine you're sick, right? And you really need this medication, like some kind of antibiotics, I don't know. You have two friends and it's raining outside. You're sick, you can't go to buy them yourself. If you ask the guy who's in shape and who's gone to work out, even when it's raining, he has to run to the gym in the rain and his shoes are just soggy and wet the entire time, right? And you ask him, hey, could you get me this medication? He won't even think about it. He's going to dash out of his door, get you the meds, and bring them to your house, right? The guy who's out of shape, of course, if it's life-saving, he will probably do it if he cares enough about you. But wouldn't you notice there's a bit of like resistance or a bit of maybe even resentment afterwards? Like, oh, you made me get up and move my fat ass from my couch out into the wet rain to get your stupid medication. I personally wouldn't want that kind of like, as weird, and not as weird, but as wishy-washy as it is to say, this like resentful bad energy directed towards anything in the universe, really, just for some medication, just because there happened to be water droplets falling from the sky outside. I hope you get my point. But so the weather doesn't matter. And also, it's exponential. I mentioned this a few times, but at first you won't see results, and then you see a few results, and you're like, is this really all I've been working for? But then at some point, it's just going to, like, you know how an exponential line goes. It's kind of flat at the start, and then suddenly it spikes up. When it hits that, when you get that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, quote-unquote, like the inverse of cancer, like the good cancer, let's call it that. Once you get that, you'll just think to yourself, holy shit, this has been more than worth it. The investment you put in is 1/1000th of what you're getting out of it. Not only is the road very long, people will also discourage you. People will make fun of you. They'll tell you it makes you short if you're still in puberty or you're still growing. They'll tell you it's egotistical when you try to get big, or you say, oh, I go to the gym because I want to get big muscles or something. They'll say, oh, you're so egotistical. And when you do get big, they'll tell you your physique is bad. You don't even look that good. Is that all you've worked for? People will always find a way to insult you. What you have to realize is the people who critique that, who make fun of you for going to the gym, who make fun of you for all of this, very often don't actually do it from a good place of trying to help you. And they're also not actually critiquing what you're doing. It's more of you're reflecting their lack of discipline and their bad physique in their face. And so the only way they can excuse it is by degrading what you have, right? If they can't be disciplined, neither can you. Or if you are disciplined, then discipline doesn't even matter anyway. It's like the sour grapes thing. If there's a fox that wants grapes, but they're out of reach, it's going to say the grapes are stupid and sour and it didn't even want them anyway. That's not true. You just couldn't get the grapes and now you're bitter. And if I look at my life, I owe so much of the good things in my life to the fact that I started the gym. I mean, the confidence, women, literally everything. It literally made me national champion in a sport I've never done before. Just because I would go to the gym consistently for 4 years straight, or 5 years straight, or however many years straight. I think a big part of the respect I get from men and attraction from women comes from going to the gym and having built my body up to this size and sculpture, let's say. Not to say that it's the best in the world, but you get what I mean. And it's not, I wouldn't say, again, going back to it's more than just the body, it shows discipline. It's not necessarily the fact that I have like well-developed muscles that makes people respect me or attracted. It's that obviously plays into it. Like you have the primal brain, and if he's bigger than you, you're more likely to defer to him or be attracted. But on a more like logical level, you also have oh, well, this guy is reliable, so obviously I respect him. This guy has put the work in. What he's built is impressive. I respect him, or I'm attracted to him. He's reliable. He can provide. He can protect me. Those things are also equally, if not more, attractive than the actual muscles. It's more of, you want to see, obviously, you want to look good and the muscles, and I get all of that. But eventually you'll see that more than that, it's about the person you become through it. A lot of people say that. Not that I regret saying it. It is true, but it's the person you become through it, and it's more of, it becomes a marker for the person you've become, if that makes sense. It's not about, oh, I'm big, I have muscles. It's, I'm disciplined, I'm reliable, I put the work in even when it's not convenient, even when it's raining, even when the weather's bad. And that's another thing. At first, you might start doing it as a sort of shallow pursuit for muscles and vanity and good looks, but eventually it'll become kind of a ritual that makes you feel a lot better. It makes you perform better. It makes you a nicer, better human being. You start for the vanity metrics of looking good, but you keep going because it relaxes you. It helps you think through problems. It helps you become a better person. Another thing is, if you've already started working out, or you're going to start, which by the way, just start. Like, there's no point in waiting for the fucking stars to align. Just start now. But what I will tell you, and this should make you feel a bit better, I guess, not that that's the goal, is that it's only going to be hardest at the start. And I also kind of made it harder for myself. You remember I told you about how I would wake up at 5:30 to work out before going to school at like 13. I don't think most 13-year-olds are doing that. But it's really is just the hardest at the start, because at the start is when you think, oh, should I really go to work out? Oh, it's raining outside, I don't want to go to work out. Or, oh, maybe I should switch out my workout plan, so then you don't go to the gym, so you can fix your workout plan so you can go the next time. All of this stuff, it's going to be hardest at the start because you don't know what you're doing. It's uncomfortable, you're sore, you don't want to go, you're tired, you have homework or job responsibilities, you have all this stuff to do. It's going to be hard at the start, but it's only going to get easier from there, right? And I've gotten to the point, I mentioned this earlier, but I really want to emphasize this. I've gotten to the point where I know I will go to the gym. I don't even think about it, not in like a brainless way. It's just, I want to go to the gym. If I literally need discipline not to go to the gym when I'm injured or when I'm sick, because, well, it's better for recovery or whatever. But at that point, I need to stop myself from going to the gym. That's the point I've gone to. And that's the point you can get to if you just keep sticking to it for a long enough period of time, which is usually, I would say, around 2 years, or 1 to 2 years of going consistently, which might require more years if you're inconsistent at the start. And so we get to the eternal unanswered question: do you lift for yourself, or do you lift for others? Do you lift for your own happiness or whatever, or do you lift to impress others? And obviously it's both. On the one hand, you have people who are too afraid to admit they lift for others, right? If you were the last person on earth, would you really be lifting weights? Maybe, right? I don't know. But most people wouldn't, because they just do it to look better, for the summer body, to attract women, to get respect from men, for whatever reason you want to do it. Those people are just afraid to admit it. Then you have the people who aren't afraid to admit it, that they do it for others. But the thing is, that's not the final point. The final point is, you do it for others, which then makes you kind of do it for yourself. What that means is, when you build up a good physique, when you go to the gym and you're disciplined and you build yourself up to be a more respectable human being, obviously that works in your favor with others, where people are more respectful or more attracted to you. But also that feeds back into doing it for yourself, because then your life becomes better, right? So you're kind of doing it both for others and for yourself. And then there's also the thing I mentioned earlier, which was that at first you really start just to look better, to like get attraction from girls or whatever you want to do it for. But over time it becomes kind of a ritual, or sort of thing you do because you enjoy doing it, and it helps you feel better and perform better in life and relationships and everything. And so at that point you do it for yourself. So it's a bit of both. It's never just one or the other. And then I wrote down 2 other quick tips, which is do sprinting. That really helps you build, I think, a big part of the way my physique is able to look, which is not quite like the regular bodybuilder physique. I don't know what it is exactly, but the reason for that, I think, is mainly sprinting. Don't do long endurance cardio, because that just, Personally, I don't like it, but also it burns your muscle off or whatever. I don't know. You can look into it, but it's not the most effective or efficient. What is sprinting. Especially you can try uphill sprinting, but just sprints in general. Do 2 to 3 times per week, and you can do around 5 or 6 sets of sprints. I do 100-meter sprints, so you just make sure to warm up a bit first. Then you sprint, and then you have like 5 minutes rest, and then you sprint again, 5 minutes rest, sprint again, 5 minutes rest, and in total it should take you around half an hour. That way, not only do you get your cardio, you also, the reason I started sprinting is because you look at the physique of sprinters compared to long distance runners, and at that point you just ask yourself, who would I rather look like? Personally, I would rather look like the sprinters, but that's, well, you need to decide, but I think most people would agree with that. So sprinting, and then the other thing is just bulk. Most guys are just skinny. This whole craze for being like the aesthetic, lean, defined physique, that's fine if that's really what you want. Most people have been brainwashed into wanting that because everybody else wants it. So really, most guys, especially young guys, just need to bulk. You're skinny. That's as simple as it gets. Even if you're skinny fat, don't bulk up like crazy, but just try to put on weight. Don't worry about getting the 6-pack abs or about becoming extremely vascular or whatever you want, or having the best jawline in the world. Getting big will do more for you than literally anything else. Mwah.